So for many people, it seemed like it was the last challenge for Man City to overcome. But of course, there is one more game to come. 1-0 games often can be not that entertaining, but this one was probably one of the most tense games in Premier League history. Buvey, a Man City fan, joins me now to talk through that game, talk through the goal, probably one of the greatest goals in Premier League history, and talk about the final day of the season. And maybe if Man City deserve it, maybe that tiny bit more than Liverpool now after that game yesterday and the run-in. Buvey, first of all, have you recovered? Are you okay?
I don't know what to do, mate. I was sort of lying there. I wanted a chill one. I didn't want to go out with my mates or anything to watch it. It's Monday night football. I thought I'm going to have a calm one in, just watch it on the TV at home. You know, have a nice dinner, have a nice chilled out Monday night. And the game was anything but chilled out, obviously. They played really well, Leicester. It wasn't parking the bus. It was aggressive football. It was a sort of mixture of counter-attacking and also possession-based football from Brendan Rodgers. I think people forget how good he's been against City over the years. With Celtic in the Champions League, they picked up points against us. And obviously for Liverpool, the same sort of players that played against us. He plays great football. You know, it's almost like a mini Guardiola how he plays football. And players like Harry Maguire, they really stood up. And, you know, maybe we didn't deserve that 1-0. You know, based on, except the goal itself was obviously a worldie. It was a tough one to say,
because I guess as a Man City fan, you're used to dominating games, you're used to dominating possession, you're used to all of that. So it's interesting to hear you talk like that, because I think a lot of people still felt that, and even Guardiola came out and said it himself. He was surprised by the sort of the low block in the second half, and in particular in the second half, in that period up until the goal. They did really kind of not park the bus, but they didn't really have much choice because of how well Man City were pressing. But for the first half, and I guess, you know, after that when they had to go for a little bit, you were quite impressed with Leicester, were you?
100%. I think if there's any team out there that can break the top six, I think it's Leicester. 100%. If they sign well in the summer, I'm sure they will with Brendan Rodgers. You know, they've put in. It's an investment in itself to get someone like that in. They didn't need to replace Puel. A lot of fans wouldn't have replaced him. It's an ambitious move, and if they can sign a few players, the big thing, that midfield for me, Chowdhury is exceptional. What a player he is!
Yeah,
indeed, he's
really
a brilliant player.
By him. Yeah, indeed he was ridiculous. And actually, I was chatting to a mate on WhatsApp, and he was saying if you did like a combined 11 of Leicester City with any of those top six, and in particular, we were talking about Arsenal actually. In that Arsenal, you'd take that Leicester back five, the goalkeeper in the back four, over the possibly most of all of the back four of Arsenal right now.
So yeah, Pereira for me, he looks like potentially a European right back. He could play in the sort of Champions League. I think he's that good. He's so powerful and aggressive, and his actual end product's really good as well.
Yeah, they got him from Porto, didn't they? So he was. They've got a lot to offer next season. I think people should expect big things if they can deal with the pressure of it. But let's get back to Man City then. So the other thing with that game is I think there was a lot of spotlight on it, of course, because you're so close to doing it and you've been able to deal with the pressure up till now and you thought this would be a higher challenge. Did it feel like it was going to be one of those games?
It did. There was no way we were going to score without something special happening. And it's a bit of a trope to say that. You know, it's a bit of a sort of stereotypical thing to say in football. But everything we tried, it reminded me of QPR, the 3-2 at QPR under Mancini. No passes were making it. It was really poor football. The likes of, you know, look, we got the result, but I'm going to sort of say that David Silva was really, really poor in my opinion. Gundogan, I thought, was pretty poor. Yeah, he probably was, and he looked a little bit off the pace. I've been saying it for months, and not many fans have sort of picked up on it. I think it's because he's a living legend, and it's hard you can't criticise someone as good as David Silva's been over the years. I just think he's lacking that. I don't know if he's fully match fit or if he's just getting a little bit old and a little bit past it potentially. But he wasn't linking up the play in the right way. Don't forget he's playing against a great midfield, as we've already said, in Leicester. But yeah, the goal was unbelievable, and it's probably the best goal the Etihad seen in maybe 10, 15 years. Exceptional.
As a football fan, when you're a football player, it's goals like that. That's as good as it gets, because there was an element, because of the frustration, there was such a tension in the air that something like that, for the centre-back to step up and go, so let's forget that it's Vincent Kompany for a second, but for any player to go, right, I've had enough of this, and almost let out his frustration in that strike, and to then be able to relieve it and then have that explosion. I can't imagine what it was like being a Man City fan and just seeing him trot up and then go whack. I was in shock. How were you?
The thing is, it's not like the cleanest run up. It sounds weird. He runs up, he stops, and then he runs up again. You think, oh God, you know. And Kyle Walker, because the way we play, he's always the extra man, right, in possession, and he tucks into midfield. He has a lot of shots, Kyle Walker. He must have about 2 or 3 shots every game. It's ridiculous. They're always in row Z. So I think a lot of players, I think Kompany mentioned it himself, a lot of players are saying, don't shoot, you know, for God's sake, don't shoot. I saw it. I saw him hitting the target. I never thought he was going to hit Rosette. I think at Hamburg, when he first joined City, he was a midfielder, so he's got a hit in him for sure. He's a lot better on the ball than people think. But the fact is, it's a near post strike. It hasn't gone across the keeper. There isn't that much whip on it. It's just a sort of a straight shot into the near corner. It's exceptional. You know, what a goal! I can't believe it. You know, I really can't.
I mean, the thing that you can believe with him is that this guy, and you're talking about David Silva, you're talking about Vincent Kompany, and we talk about his contract in a second, but with him, David Silva, Aguero, Guardiola himself said that these are the players that have helped make Man City what they are at this point, because it does come down to those trophies and getting the job done, and those guys have been a huge part of it. But Vincent Kompany's record in terms of scoring big goals in big games, and especially when it's a centre-back, that's why I wasn't surprised when he's gone and had that element of frustration, but also had that understanding, and he said it himself in his post-match interview, is understanding that I need to step up. I need to be the guy and I believe I'm going to be the guy to go and do something. And so when you've got someone who understands and is okay with that kind of pressure, you can't let this guy go in the summer, can you?
100. Look, I think that the management is one thing different to the fans, right? I think the fans, even a rational fan, would say, give him a year. There's no reason to get rid of him, because I think Otamendi's going to leave. That's very, very likely. I think we're going to bring in a big centre back. I don't think we're signing a left back. I think we're saving money from a left back, because I think we can get through with another season with the left back, and to sign a big centre back. Does that push Kompany out? I think it might on some levels. I think he's a little bit worried about it. There's a reason he's getting emotional. When he scored that, and obviously at the sort of post-match, I think it'd be a massive, massive mistake. You look at the big clubs down the years that let their players go one season too early. I think Chelsea did a really great job with John Terry. He stayed there for that final season under Conte, I believe. And he's just, it's leadership. Yeah. You know, you're not expecting him to play. He doesn't do it anyway. Even in his prime, he wasn't playing every single game of the season. There might be a moment next season where we're in the semi-finals of the Champions League, or hopefully, or the FA Cup semi-finals again next season, or the League Cup final. There are some big moments that happen throughout the season where a fit Vincent Kompany starts over most players, most defenders in world football, in my opinion, based on leadership. And I still think over most centre backs in the world, I'd take him in a single game over a lot of centre backs, and that's just honestly.
Yeah,
I'd take him over Van Dijk in a single game.
I think it's the usual. Really, Van Dijk? Wow, you take Vincent Kompany over Van Dijk
in a Champions. Let's say we're in the Champions League final in a couple of weeks, I should say, or the FA Cup final even. If you gave me Van Dijk right now to start for City or Kompany, honestly, it would be Vincent Kompany in a one-off game. Don't get me wrong, not the whole season.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I think Vincent Kompany's at that point where I agree with the point that he's become. You've never heard this phrase before. He's a clutch centre back, which is ridiculous. That said, there were a few moments in the game yesterday, there's a few moments in the Manchester derby where you can see he's becoming slightly concerned about his pace. But still, that guy who can lead the team and maybe keep the momentum going for a team like Man City, who dominate 99% of their games, I think that's a big part of it as well. Because on the ball, aside from the goal, his passing was superb yesterday as well. Let's move forward then. There's only one game left for you guys. It's a game that, apart from it being away from home, is pretty much as kind of fixture as you could probably hope for. Or, look, Cardiff and Huddersfield aside, maybe. Is there any way that you can see you guys slipping up in this last game?
The physicality of the two centre-backs that can come up for corners. They've got a couple of good centre-backs. And obviously, Glenn Murray, I don't know if he's fit. I don't know anything about Brighton's sort of fitness at the moment. The only thing is that they're safe. I think that's a small thing. I was at the Amex last season, their first game in the Premier League against Man City, and we won it very, very narrow 1-0 when I believe Aguero scored quite late on. So that's the only context where you can think, we struggled when they had two banks of four and they had two up top. Player like Knockout as well, he can tuck in and he can be a bit of a threat. I don't know if he's going going to start. But yeah, Brighton, they could be an issue. I'm just very, very, very glad they're safe.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing, isn't it? Because I think it's about the resilience of the opponents a lot of the time as well. With Leicester City, I think that they got a lot of credit because actually in the last 20 minutes of the game, they were able to kind of enforce their will on the game a little bit. What I wonder with the Brighton side is if you get 20 minutes in and Brighton concede the first goal to Man City, I can't see where's the kind of resilience and determination and motivation to get themselves back in the game. I'm not sure they're that bothered now. Even if they wanted to be, I just don't think they would have the belief to do it. If you do go on and win that game, then the final thing to ask you about is, and it is a tough question to answer, but I think even me myself, I think Man City, the team, the players there, forget all the money and all those elements around it, but the team to do back to back, to go back to back, and to deal with the pressure of the run in, which they've had to deal with in this last 11 games. Is it they've won on the bounce? Do you think that actually when we look back on the season, people will look at it and go, Man City did deserve it because they were able to deal with the pressure of being top of the league, whereas Liverpool, with that little sort of mini run of draws and bits and pieces like that happened when they had it in their own hands, and it's a very different psychological thing. So Man City deserve a little bit more credit and maybe deserve that a little bit more than Liverpool if they do go on and do it because of those reasons.
I think the narrative will be reflected in history when you look back on it with a bit more of an overview that our best player last season, obviously who came second in the PFA, Kevin De Bruyne, he's injured for 80% of the games this season in the Premier League. Yeah. Look, if Salah's injured, or it is debatable who Liverpool's best player is, even if you say Van Dijk's injured for as many games as De Bruyne has been this season, I don't think they get anywhere near the title race. I think it's a top 4 push for them if they don't have their best player. So the fact we've done it, and then we're going to get, hopefully we're going to get 198 points across 2 seasons. We've conceded 3 goals. We've scored about 28 goals in the last 10, 11 games. And the big thing is that also the narrative in football that you've got to remember that the actual straight narrative is Liverpool would be centurions and they'd also be invincibles if they had this run and they hadn't have lost to us, and we beat them. So we more than deserve it. We've improved from last season. What happened in the Champions League? And obviously they beat us in the league as well. We've improved and we haven't lost them this season. And we should have beaten them at Anfield, and I was there for that, and I was obviously distraught.
Yeah, we all remember that one, mate. Okay, mate. Well, so final. Go on. It's going to be an early one, but your final predictions for the final weekend. What's going to happen on that last day?
I think we'll both win. Liverpool will beat Wolves. I think Wolves got nothing to play for really, and I think we'll win 2-0.
Okay, so there's a bit of hope there, but just a nice, comfortable, enjoyable final day for you. Well, yeah, I mean, hopefully from a neutral's point of view, I hope it's a bit more exciting than that, but we'll soon find out. Buvey, you got your own channel now. Plug it. Go on, tell the people.
Yeah, just anything about Man City. I'm just trying to sort of talk about what I'm watching at the moment. I tried to talk about the company goal, and I couldn't really express it in words. I was just sort of saying random things into my camera. But yeah, it's all about Man City. So yeah, obviously subscribe if you want to sort of see the transfers coming up in the summer. No football, unfortunately, for City this summer. So yeah, just some big transfer news, I'm sure.
Okay, so yeah, everyone go check out Buvey trying to react to that company goal. Head over to his channel. If you enjoyed this video, then hit that like button. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Who deserves the title more, Liverpool or Man City? Let us know in the comments below. If you're new to the channel, then why not hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you soon.